So recently, Roe v. Wade, of course, was overturned. Seems to be the case that people respectfully have forgotten that the Supreme Court's chief duty is to make sure that laws that are passed in this country are constitutional. So the Supreme Court is not supposed to pass new laws or do legislation because they're not elected officials. They're supposed to just declare whether something is legal or not. I don't think a woman or a man has a constitutional right to kill their children. And so that's on a legal issue. I think that's always been a really bad decision. Of course, morally, something very different, which is abortion the moral choice? The moral choice. So I thought I would read a couple tweets that have come out lately in response to the Roe v. Wade decision. So here is a tweet from Suzanne, and it says, hashtag Roe v. Wade, hashtag abortion rights are human rights, which is interesting. Hashtag women's rights, hashtag SCOTUS, or Supreme Court of the United States. There is a complexity in the decisions a woman makes when the situation is impossible to fix. Women should be treated like humans. There's so much to say about that. My response is there complexity in decisions? Yeah. Complexity is irrelevant, though, when it comes to moral choices. If you mean there are moral quagmire, which means you have multiple moral values that are competing values, that's different too. That's right, sometimes that occurs. When I said the situation is impossible to fix, I'm not sure what the situation she means. I really mean, I don't know. None of this is sarcastic or facetious. What situation is impossible to fix? It seems to me the situation of abortion is whether or not I can hire someone to kill my baby. So that situation doesn't seem complex to me. Do I have the moral right? And right now I'm concerned about the moral right, not the legal right. I don't care. I care if it's legal. I don't really care if it's legal. I care about the moral argument, because just because something is legal doesn't mean it's immoral. The government can say it's legal to go rape people. I don't care if that's immoral, and I'll never do it in a Christian worldview. So that's the point is. So the situation is impossible to fix. To me, it's not impossible. I guess we just respectfully, me and Suzanne have a different view on that. That women should be treated like humans. I agree. In the Christian worldview, women and men are humans because that's how God designed us. But there we go. We're talking about God already, because that's what I do is morality. We have to say, I understand that God designed women and men. So anyway, there's one tweet. Here's another one by Nazir Afzal. If Supreme Court overturning hashtag Roe v. Wade was about babies, there would be, universal health care, free birth control, free education, free daycare, child support, criminalization of all rape and child marriage. As with all abuse of women, this is purely about male power and control. Yeah, a few things about that. This is a very common argument. Respectfully, I don't find persuasive at all. As with all abuse of women, of course, I can't get over how much I don't understand that. Abortion is when you usually hire a person to chop up and suck out your baby. So when it says abuse of women, I don't know if Nazir knows what an abortion is. If abortion meant a time where you go to a clinic and they beat a woman, or they club her or whip her, I mean, I agree with you. That is horrible. That sentence doesn't go with abortion whatsoever. I don't know. So the other part, the whole first part about, and this is very common to say, that if you cared about babies, you would also care about X, Y, Z. See, morally speaking, that's nonsense. Morally speaking, that's gibberish. I can care very much about the moral right of an innocent human being living, completely independent of whether or not I think it's moral for the government to pay for my health care of the child. Those are just completely irrelevant. The moral values that we uphold in the Christian worldview have nothing to do with whether or not you also believe in. So another common when you hear this is, yeah, you care about abortion, but then the same people, usually Republicans and dumb Christians, they're the same people who support capital punishment. So you're all about killing people there, but you're not about killing people in the first place. To which, I mean, that's another great example to which I always say, you see the fundamental difference, right, in moral categories, right? Because the two different people you're killing, one is innocent and one is deemed guilty, worthy of being killed. What I like to do to help me sometimes think morally about a subject is take out the word, for example, in this one, take out the word baby and put any other stage of human development. So if the Supreme Court really was about teenagers, there would be universal health care, free birth control, free education, free daycare. which means if you don't give me universal health care, free birth control, free education, free daycare, child support, and rape and blah, blah, I can, whenever I want to, I have the moral right to kill my teenager. The second the government does not, if the government took away universal health care, I have 5 kids, all my kids, and then one day the government goes, nope, no more free condoms. Okay, I want to kill all my kids right now. I'm not going to just kill them. I'm going to chop them up, and then I'll throw the body parts into a bag and dump it out the back. What do you expect me to do? There's no more free child care. If you really cared about teenagers, you would not have taken away my free birth control. If the Supreme Court really cared about senior citizens, the second I don't get free education, free daycare, child care, blah, 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 I'm going to kill every single person I don't want. Because that's what it comes down to. I will kill anybody I want whenever I want to who's dependent upon me the second I don't get these things. In the Christian worldview, that's horrific. In the Christian worldview, this is horrific and sad and evil. We don't make moral choices based on whether or not other people pay for free daycare. Here's one that's lovely, I guess. But this is typical. This is typical. And Christians, if you're a Christian watching this, listen to this, you ought to, I mean, we need to, this is the real world, okay? Get your fictional, hateful Bible stories and your fake, fictional, religious BS out of our effing lives. F you. Sounds good. Deal. Well, it's interesting. First off, of course, when I see it, and most of it's in, well, no, it's all in caps lock, isn't it? So the person's very angry. I understand people get mad. What's interesting to me, well, several things are interesting about this. One is, of course, fictional, hateful Bible stories. If they're fictional, why are they hateful? I mean, how could they be hateful? That's irrational to me. I don't call Harry Potter hateful. I don't call Lord of the Rings hateful. It's fiction. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. So obviously you think the Bible stories are fictional. That's fine. As a person who went to school for a long time, I don't think they're all fictional. Some might be, but I don't think they're all fictional. But I know this person, I shouldn't say I know. The odds are pretty high that this person, Billy Eichner, didn't go to school and doesn't have a degree in history. I mean, probably so. I've never met a person who went to school forever who studied anything history ever who called the Bible full of fictional stories. It works on Twitter and YouTube, I know it does, but not in the real world of scholarship. No one takes that seriously. But the last but not least is something about these kind of things I've noticed, of course, is people get very angry, and there's a deep, deep-seated anger toward people who are quote-unquote religious. To the Christian, I want to encourage you by saying, this is real. There are a lot of people who will just hate everything about you. If you say the word Christian or Jesus, God, they're livid. Some people, I mean, at minimum, they've got deep, deep wounds. They were probably molested by religious people, quote unquote. They knew people would hurt them. They've got deep wounds. In my counseling background, I'm telling you, I've met these people, been really, really hurt and wounded. They've had a lot of deep-seated anger. Also, some of this anger is driven purely by evil. While a naturalist doesn't believe in evil, the naturalist is profoundly mistaken. Evil is a real presence, and evil hates anything resembling God. So my first thought when I hear or read or meet someone who's that lividly angry, I think either woundedness or evil. Either way, it helps me have a degree of empathy. I'm not going to take it that seriously. I'm going to be saying, I'm so sorry, whatever's hurt you, and so forth. To the Christian, that's what I'm trying to encourage you. To the non-Christian, if you find yourself being the person who's this angry, I encourage you to think about it for a second. Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? And really, I think it's a worthwhile question. And you don't get that mad outside of some kind of woundedness. You just don't. I know people who try to persuade me that abortion is the moral good thing to do. I'm not mad at them. I don't write tweets like this. I don't rage at them. And hopefully, at least because I'm a Christian, but also I don't have any woundedness. You're just trying to persuade me of your view. That's fair. I understand. That's what humans do. We try to persuade each other, but that's okay. But the rage is something different. So I would encourage you to think about, why are you so mad? So another one I hear all the time and see all the time online, and I was talking to my son who hears and keeps track of things as well. And a very common one is like Billie Eilish and some other people talk about, get out of my body, it's my body, my choice, and so forth. So to those, I break that down for a second. On the one hand, as I've said before, when people think about these topics, when it invigorates, foments deep passion, oftentimes, like on just a pastoral counseling level, as it were, some people aren't acting reasonable or rational. They're not able to in that moment. Sometimes they really do disassociate. I mean, they're not able to stay in the moment. But they're going down and they're screaming and hollering and yelling at each other. That's not the time to reason. It's not, you can listen or defend yourself in the sense of like, get out of harm's way, you might say, and love on them, but it's not time to have a rational conversation. If a person's that worked up, it's just, there's not going to happen. I mean, you can try, but it's not going to happen. It's like if right after 9/11 or something, people walking around the streets and there's got ash all over them, they're going, what are your thoughts on Roe v. Wade? It's just not the time. They're not thinking straight, and so you're just wasting your energy doing that. If a person's sitting down with me or even online, which I can't imagine it happening online ever, but if it were to happen conceivably, someone said, I'm really curious what your thoughts on this, let's have a good conversation. Well, cool. If they're able to kind of keep their cool, you might say, to a degree. In that case, I would say is then we talk about morality, because it's the Christian worldview. If you're a naturalist, if you're just an evolved chimp, I agree with you. I really do. If you're an evolved chimp, there are no moral rights because morality is a facade. If I'm just an evolved chimp, all that matters is survival. And survival itself is not a good thing because there's no such thing as good. It's just survival. So then the issue is whoever has the power makes the decision, just like it does in the animal kingdom. The biggest lion kills the other lion, kills all the cubs, and has sex with all the female lionesses. He doesn't rape the lionesses. He just forcefully copulates. But he rapes them all. So that's what you do. That's the animal kingdom. The strongest get what you want. I absolutely agree with that. If naturalism is true, that's what exactly we should do. We should only be ruled by the most powerful. All the weak should be killed off because they take all our resources. They take all of our food, our water, all babies, senior citizens, everybody we don't want like ever. It should just be, I mean, it's just like all those post-apocalyptic movies. I mean, I agree. If naturalism is true, but it's not. But most people know that too. They don't live that way, and I'm glad they don't because that's exactly the world that we would live in. But if there is a moral law, and we have moral values and moral duties, which we do, then the question is, where does it come from? Well, I've decided, and it seems to me the most persuasive answer is it comes from a lawgiver, and that is, of course, we'll call that lawgiver God. So in the Christian worldview, which I'm a Christian, of course, in the Christian worldview, we ask questions like, what's moral based on what we understand God has designed as the moral value. So he's the locus, the center of moral values and duties. So if God would commission us to do it, we have the moral duty to do it. To say this last thing, it's interesting to me how people use this example of my rights, a thing that's growing, a parasite growing in me. That from the Christian worldview is baffling to me. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's baffling to me. I guess in my line of work, having met so many people who do anything to have a child, mothers who light up, and dads do too, when they have children. Babies are a precious gift, they're celebration. The idea that I want to kill my baby because my baby makes it inconvenient for me, why? Because I wanted to have sex and not have consequences. Well, I mean, okay, I mean, well, I wanted to get drunk and not get hung over, but I mean, that's what's going to happen. So it's appalling to me. It's evil to me that it's okay to treat a human being like a thing. In naturalism, I understand that. We're just evolved chimps. I really mean that. I get it. But in the Christian worldview, that's evil. It's abhorrent. It's disgusting. It's wrong. We don't have the right to kill innocent human beings ever, not to mention because it's typically because it's inconvenient. I'll have to pay for the bills and I have to pay for the child care. I don't kill my teenagers because I have to pay for child care. Well, they're dependent on me. I don't kill my teenagers because I have to feed their bills. I don't kill off every single senior, my grandparents, my parents, because I have to take care of them. We'll kill them immediately. The second they get away with my wishes and my dreams, and I didn't ask for this. You don't have the moral right to kill people or ask someone to kill people. That's immoral. God bless you. See you next time.